Hello?
Rise and shine, friend. Kirka needs everyone in the war chamber.
Did we find the Shrine Forge?
We might be close. I brought in a specialist to help crack the case.
A specialist in Shrine Forges?
No. In Orman.
Are they named Kenzie?
Up and at 'em, sleepyhead!
I was just taking Kenzie here to meet Zendara. I predict they'll get along famously, don't you?
Wait, not yet. Wait for me.
Can you believe it? The anarchist has set aside her disgust of military institutions long enough to help us out.
Oh, no. There's still plenty of disgust.
Would you two cut it out? They're waiting for us.
Now, Kenzie, I appreciate our verbal fencing about the rabble's pillow-fisted outrage against the gentry, but the very large one there, she's actual royalty, so maybe not so much.
Maybe none.
Look, I'm here because I want the Rasharnians out of my home, not to make nice with some princess that thinks... Oh, my...
I see. So it's all eat the rich until someone gets the vapors.
Welcome to the Palathon, Kenzie of the Sky Tribes of Oramin. The Kingdom of Lucium is grateful for any help that you can give us.
You bet. Are you scrying the entirety of Oramin at the same time? You'd need hundreds of scrying constructs to pull this off.
Thousands.
No wonder the rest of the kingdoms think Lucians are always lurking in the shadows. The amount of border alliance and factions here is... even for wartime.
Yep, it really is an impressive feat of modern arcano-engineering, but moving right along?
You mispronounced invasive.
When's the last time Oramin even pretended to be at wartime?
You're looking at her.
It's okay, Zendara. Kenzie's right. I'll submit a formal apology to Oramin's High Council the next time they convene, at Nosea.
In case you hadn't heard, Sandrak destroyed Nosea, so she's being...
I heard.
Oh, so you did catch the shade. Very good.
You're looking in the Tempest Layer? That's the wrong place. Those islands are the newer ones. You gotta look underneath, where the first islands were dislodged.
We checked. There are no Aristean ruins on the surface of those.
Who said anything about the surface? The Aristea love an underground temple.
Flip it.
You're shitting me.
See? I did have a good idea. Bringing her in, I mean.
Ley lines are too unstable in that storm. And they will have powered down their portals. There's only one way we say hello.
Get prepped for a combat drop.
You heard the Grand Magnus. Grab your gear and head to the airship docks.
I'll tell Captain Selko it's go time, and to have his lance of strikers ready.
So, what should I do?
Shall we save you a seat on the assault craft?
No, still not my war.
Ah, well,
Gotta find Soko. Captain, is our airship ready for launch to Oramin?
Just give the word, sir. Her hull's warded against the worst the Tempest Layer can throw at us. We'll swing you in for a clean drop to the Shrine Forge.
No time to lose. Let's go.
Signals up! Let's move!
recognize this place. Daddy showed it to me. There's gotta be some kind of theoretical-making machine thing here.
Probably inside. And this machine will show us a weakness to the Binding Stone?
In theory.
So we don't know what to do once we're inside.
I figured we'd improvise.
You mean you would improvise? That entrance is blocked by a Triarch ward. You're the only one going in.
Lucky I'm here, sir.
I'll get the portals powered back up for a return trip.
Figure out how to destroy the Binding Stone, and let's get out of here.
This room looks important.
Your hair is staying.
I've never been here. Yeah, you're talking about someone else. You're mistaking me for a guy named Sandrak, which frankly feels a little creepy. But anyway, I want to destroy the Binding Stone. You're not listening. I don't have a Binding Stone. Or a mark. I can't surrender what I don't have. I already told you, I'm not... Wait. You can give me the same mark as Sandra. Control it, or destroy it.
You've already figured out the solution, Jack. We win.
You don't win in ever war. If he found a way to use the Binding Stone, so can we.
Its mastery over the fonts means I can end the war.
Then I choose to end the war. Give me the mark to control the Binding Stone. I think I broke it. Great. No take-backs, I guess. Alright, so that's what disobeying orders feels like. Not so good.
Figure it out?
Please say yes.
Yeah, we're good to go. With this, I can destroy the Binding Stone. We just Have to get close enough to Sandrak.
How do you propose we do that when we don't even know where he is?
This mark gives me a connection to the Binding Stone. I can feel where it is. I can feel where Sandrak is. He's moving east, towards the Deepmere.
There's a font in the ocean.
Sounds like it. All right, pack it in. We're leaving soon.
What's the play, sir?
Devin and I will stay here at the Shrine Forge for a bit. See if we can find anything else of interest.
And rig it to blow when the Rashanians return.
You need to get back to the Palathon and brief Kirkin. She'll figure out our next steps. But when you use that mark to destroy the Binding Stone, I want to be there. I want to see Sandrak's face when you just crumble it in his hand.
You don't have to tell me twice, sir.
All right. That'll be all, Initiate. Now head back to the Palathon.
back at the Palathon.
Well done, soldier. Meet me in the vault. We can finally have that conversation that I've been trying to avoid. Back here, Jack. Here. This dossier is for you. My report of Sandrak's time as an immortal. Some details remain classified. I'm sure you understand.
This will have to do then. Thank you, sir.
Come. Show me the mark you recovered from the Shrine Forge.
Sure.
It lets you feel the movements of the Binding Stone?
Yeah. Sandrak's definitely sailing the deep mirror, but his movements are weird. Erratic.
Unfortunately, we can't afford to send a large force out to sea. Most of the Light's army musters at the front, and we need them to remain there. You, Zendara, and Devon will have to face Sandrak alone. Well, not exactly alone. My contacts in the Clayless Traders Guild provided us with a colossal during the Trenchship Rebellion. I never gave it back. It'll take time to wake her up. She's not seen service in a very long time. Captain Selko's a fine steersman, if I recall correctly.
And I can guide him to wherever Sandrak is using my mark.
That's the plan. Now, unless you have something else to ask me, that'll be all.
All right. I've got everything I need, sir.
Zendara and Devon should have already returned by now. You'll all set out for the Deep Mere in the morning. Oh, one more thing. The Oromik girl, Kenzie. She wanted to speak to you when you returned from the Shrine Forge. I think she's a bit smitten with you.
Yeah, I don't know if it's limited to just me, sir.
Initiate, come up to the war chamber. Devon and I have decided that since we might die in the morning, we should,
Get hammered!
Yes. That.
On my way. I've got 100 Alori chasing me. Nowhere to go. All by myself. And then, boom! I'm grabbed by the neck. I can't breathe. Sure, just interrupt my story in the rudest, most disgusting way imaginable. That's cool.
I honestly forgot you were telling one. Oh, did I ever tell you guys about the time I almost turned 100 years old? My company was holed up in the trenches at True Haven Pass. I was still assigned to Light's army then. Medical watch, yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is a lie.
Absolutely serious. The Rashanians hit the trench with an aging spell. By morning, we're suddenly too tired to fight. We're too infirm. Our brains are muddled. We've got the cataracts. So, anyway, I see myself in a mirror, right? I look like my father. My father was a very unattractive man, Jack. We call him the Turtle. I am not going to age well.
So tell me, sir, when did you say to yourself, hey, bigotry, it's not really so bad, is it?
I have to make a far call.
Are you referring, Initiate, to why I think the unforeseen are a curse?
Yep.
Telenir was a small city in Kalthus. The priests there believed that the Lightless were given some divine role by the Pentasod, and they didn't allow Magni within their walls. Can you imagine? A city without magic?
I'm not an asshole, so yes.
One day, at some morning prayer, a young girl, in Unforeseen, just exploded with wild magic. She died screaming as spellfire erupted from her body. All of Telenir started burning. And because there were no Magni around, this wild magic went unchecked. The whole city, and everyone in it, were reduced to ashes.
That's all very sad and terrible, sir. But we're not all that little girl. That's not how it happened with me.
It could have. There's no protection against your kind. And when you do happen, more often than not, people around you die.
Okay, enough of that. My father always said the best way to mend bridges between parties that held wildly divergent opinions was to find a commonality in vice. Drink up, nerds.
Another.
How'd a fucking bird get in here?
Oh, good. You see it too?
You still have that thing about birds.
Birds absolutely do not give a shit about the way their heads look when they walk. I would be mortified.
Another.
Damn it.
Another.
Use your lash! Use your lash! I know. Another.
Am I dead?
It's him, isn't it? Sandrak's moving towards the font. Showtime, then. And listen, I may not like what you are, Jack, but I like who you are.
That feels really abstract and not entirely okay, but thanks. I think.
The Immortals are better because of you. And Lucium may end up surviving because an Unforeseen led the charge.
Morning, sir.
Unfortunately.
It was a good night, sir. I won my retirement fund betting on your skill at beer pong.
Wait, you were there? I didn't see you.
You weren't seeing much by that point, sir. Duty calls, though. Come to the docks over in Thaven's Point. We're nearly ready to cast off.
All right. See you soon.
Does seasickness cancel out hangovers? Or is it more of an additive thing?
Welcome aboard, Immortals. What's our bearing, sir?
Can't give you anything precise, Captain, but north by northeast, 5 knots. If Sandrak changes course, you'll be the first to know. Something wrong?
Just the fact that this mission and the war hinges on something that we don't understand. At all.
We'll catch him, sir.
Over here, Jack.
Hey, Dev.
This was built by the Ajman. You sometimes forget that there were great civilizations of such marvelous invention before Aristea. What's up, Jack?
So, you went to university, right? I mean, duh, you were just all, this was built by the Arjman, and I've never even heard of them.
If there's one thing my father expected of me, it was to treat history like a type of scholastic jambalaya, and just continue...
Yeah, okay. So, I've read a lot of books, and I know my numbers and stuff like that. It's just...
I don't think I've ever seen you so insecure, Jack. Is it the upcoming fight?
No. Well, yeah, kind of, maybe. Look, the thing is, Sandrak is super educated. You remember how he called me...
In our every meeting, a yipping pup. I remember.
Exactly.
In our every meeting, a yipping pup!
You didn't need to do it again. But yeah, that's, I want to say something like that to him, right? Like, we're fighting and I'm all, yeah, and you're old. But not like that, obviously.
Oh, I see. An erudite put-down. A deeply cutting tit to his tat.
If that means what I think it does, then very much yes.
Well, let's make one for you. Like you say, Sandrak's very old, and he's...
a stuffed shirt.
Let's work on it. We'll give it right back to him. In our every meeting at so-and-so... Blowhard? Buffoon? Windbag?
Definitely blowhard.
Definitely. But something before it. In our every meeting, a what? Blowhard. Now, the old bit. Geriatric? Obsolescent? Fossil? Oh no, fossilized.
Geriatric's kinda mean.
That's the point, no? The world will forgive you. I think we've got it. Let's test it out. I'm Sandrak. Wait, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm Sandrak, and I'm bursting with power, and I have that bored patrician look on my face, and I go something like, "Fools, for certain, there is no mercy, but of my white hot and branding make."
Shut the fuck up, you geriatric blowhard! What do you think?
I mean, just telling him to shut the fuck up is pretty good. He'll absolutely hate it.
Huh. Yeah, I guess you would.
And you really sell that part of it.
Yeah, it feels good. Okay, thanks, Dev.
Happy to help. Now, get up to the control room. I'll join you shortly.
All hands, this is the captain. We've sighted a fleet of Rashanian airships headed our way. Prepare to engage. Prepare to repel boarders!
Airships got a in! Action stations! Action stations!
Here we go.
Get to the control room and protect Selko. Zendara and I will hold off the Rashanians down here.
Got it. Gotta get to the control room.